we're going to do is we're going to do the oil pots first so that they have a chance to cure, to dry, so that when you take them home, they won't be all floppy, okay? So we want to start with a terracotta pot. And the first thing that we will do, but we won't do that today, is we're going to want to seal the bottom. So what Marie did was she took a cottage cheese container and she cut these little circles out of them, and then she glued them to the bottom of the pot to seal the bottom because we want it to hold water. Yours all have already been sealed. But if you're doing this at home, you're going to want to take this and glue it to the bottom and make sure that that's sealed. And then after she used silicone glue, a food-safe silicone glue. But when I looked online, it said you could even use Gorilla Glue. But for this project, Marie used silicone food-safe glue. So you glue it to the bottom, and you want to let that dry, and then you want to test your pot to make sure it's holding water. Marie has already done that for all of these pots, but if you're doing this at home, you're going to want to test that first, okay? Your pot is clean, and you got another pot that's going to go on top. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a bead of this silicone glue around the top of your pot, and then we're going to take this one, invert it over the top to make it stick. Now, I don't have anything to protect the table, so I'm concerned about doing this right here. So maybe I'll just show you mine here that I did last summer. So what I did was I glued it on, and then after I glued it on, I took a bead of this around the outside, and then I let that sit. Now, the class is doing that here, and they need to do that so that by the time they leave, it's dry. But for you at home, you can let this sit. You can put a book on top of it or something. For you in the class, I brought some painter's tape because that's easy release, and that'll hold it together until the end of our session today, and then you can take it home and be careful with it because it does need to cure for, you know, overnight. So Oya pots are, were you going to say something, Mary?
Just to put a really good bead on, just to make sure, right, Trudy?
Yes, you want to make that bead really thick. I didn't put any cardboard here. I apologize. I didn't want to do it here. Okay, I'll do it right here. So we're gonna do it here. And do one side, do the bottom side, and if you do it thick enough, it should hold that on there. So you're gonna take this baby right here. Am I in there? Yeah. Okay, so you're gonna take this and you're gonna squeeze it out, and you're gonna just take that, and it's okay if it oozes out a little bit. This is gonna be underground. So we're just gonna ooze that baby on there, and I'll just do it slowly here. And maybe I can do it and talk at the same time. I don't know if I'm that talented. Maybe not. But the Oya pots, that's O-L-L-A, but the two L's together makes a Y sound because that's Latin. And they've been used for over 4,000 years in China and in Spain. And the Spaniards brought it over here to the States. Okay, so I got my glue on there. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna put it on top just like that. And I'm gonna squish it on there, and I'm kind of gonna wiggle it a little bit so it's on there good and secure, because that's gonna need to be watertight. Okay, so that's on there. Then I'm gonna take my glue and I'm gonna go around the outside of it, you know, to give it that extra water tightness. Okay, so they came over here to the United States, but guess what? The people, the indigenous people that were here already, were already using something similar. So the Oya pot is porous. You see, these are terracotta, so they're porous. You don't want to glaze them, or the water won't be able to seep through. And I will explain that after I seal this, because I can't talk and do this at the same time. I'm just not that talented. Now, we're using silicone, and if that gets on your fingers, it's not going to come off with water because, why? It's watertight, right? So therefore, once you get this all the way around your pot, there's some rubber gloves. You probably want to put a rubber glove on your finger before you squish that on there. I'm going to seal this back up so it doesn't dry and make it unusable for next time. See, this is what happens. You get old and you can't see a darn thing. That doesn't go there. So that's not going to work. So now I'm going to take my glove. That's because that needs to come off before that one comes on. I'm going to take my glove and I'm going to leave this on the table. I'm just going to take this and squish it around and go all the way around like so. You guys should be about done over there. And if you are, you can borrow my painter's tape that I brought. Now remember, just like first aid, when you take your glove off, you stick it in there and now it's on the inside. So you take your painter's tape and you just take a couple pieces and hold it together like so. Put that in front of the camera so they can see at home. Okay, so that's ready to just sit and dry. If you want to use my tape, you're welcome to it. Okay. All right, so what are we going to do with this pot? So this is a pot that we made. We're pretending we made it. This is like when you put something in the oven, you're watching those shows, and then they already have it all made and ready to eat. So this one is the one that we just made, and this is ready for water, okay? So we bury it in the ground, and you don't want to bury it all the way in the ground because you don't want dirt to go in the hole or soil to go in the hole. You want it to be a little bit raised up. You're going to fill this with water. Or you could buy one at Walmart that's already made, but look at how little this is. And this is a wimpy little thing, and why spend the money if you can have a big, nice one that you make by yourself, right? Bury that baby in the water, fill it full of water, and then that water will seep out, and your roots will gravitate towards the water, right? And you'll only have to water this maybe once a week or so. You're going to want to cover your hole. I have a rock right here that Mary brought as an example. We can just take this rock and cover the hole like that, because if you have water, you're going to get mosquitoes and stuff in there, and you don't want that, right? So you can cover the hole like so, or you could do what I did here and put some marbles in like a little dish, put that on top to cover it, put some water in that, and now you have something for your dragonflies and your bees to land on. Such a wonderful thing. So bury it all the way to about, yeah, not all the way, because you don't want soil going in your hole, maybe about an inch, so that it's poking out about an inch up. And then put something pretty on top, because it's our garden. We want it to be pretty, right? And then you space these out. The water will go like double the diameter. So here's the diameter, so it will go out to here. So then you might want one over here and then another one here, and you can have them in your garden. Later, we're going to learn about drip irrigation, and you can take your drip irrigation and you can have your drippers, like if you go out of town, have these drippers go into your oyas. So now if you have this on a timer, then this can, you don't have to ask your neighbor, and then you got to figure out, what am I going to buy my neighbor for a gift, for doing this? And then, you spend your whole vacation like trying to find a nice gift for your neighbor and stuff. You can just put it on a timer, be good, then you can still share your vegetables with your neighbor, of course, but it just makes you have a little bit less stress. And then these are good for plants like tomatoes, peppers, things with not perennials that are woody, like lavender or rosemary, because those roots are going to strangle it and then they'll break it. We don't want it broken, right? So at the end of the season, you probably dig up your plants, go, and if you pull this out, you're going to find that there's roots all the way around it. Those roots are under the water, and they're, they're seeking water, and so they're gonna gravitate toward to it. So yeah, it's cool. It's really cool, and it's an ancient way. And you can go to Walmart or Amazon or wherever, and you can buy one. You can make one if you're a potter. You don't want to glaze it because it needs to seep into the water, right? Because it needs to be porous. And if you glaze it, oh, I want it to be pretty. Let's put some glaze on it. Guess what? Now it's no longer going to be an Olla. It's just going to be a pretty pot. So, any other questions?